All right, world. Going live again. As if to prove my point. The universe tries to have a cruel sense of humor, but sometimes it needs your permission for it to be cruel. And I'm not giving it permission. I do not accept its cruelty. I accept it only as pretty silly and fanciful. So here's what happened. And it's actually amazing. It's amazing how this happened. So I was literally about to do a live. And as you can see, depending on what platform you're on, the live is called How to Get Paid for Being a Jerk. And my premise is about basically not caring what other people think. And I'll talk about that, because a lot of times not caring what people think. People are like, oh, you shouldn't care what other people think. But then when somebody actually doesn't care what people think, the behaviors that ensue from that, get labeled kind of like jerky, right? So my point is how to get paid for being a jerk is that you will go further in this world by not caring what people think, but then be prepared in the meantime to be called a jerk for some of the things you may do as a result. But let me. I just got to say what happened was I get this call. I'm getting ready for the live. I'm like walking around my office, kind of like talking to myself, getting pumped up, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go live. Come on. So I get this call on my watch, and I didn't answer on my phone because my phone's on Instagram or on my Instagram live. So I get on my watch. I'm like, hello, and it's my wife, Jacqueline, and she's like, babe, you're live. I'm like, I didn't realize I was literally live. So it was super embarrassing. But then I'm like, wait a minute, this is exactly what my live is about. So I was reading this morning this book I'm reading. And it was, they asked this guy, it's a book about influence and why people do the things that they do and human behavior. And anyway, this prison warden who, if anybody wants to learn how to influence human behavior, it's a prison warden, right? This prison warden was asked how to influence human behavior. Hold on. How do I pause this? Okay, let me pause that there. So this prison warden was asked how to influence human behavior. And he said, oh, that's easy. The number one way to laugh or to influence people's behavior is to laugh at them, right? And I'm like, man, that's actually pretty profound. And bear with me a sec. I'm getting this live spooled up on all the social platforms here. Why isn't it showing on my Facebook group? Oh well. Anyway, so the prison warden said, oh, that's easy. You just laugh at people.
How do I pause this? Okay, let me pause that there.
Oh my gosh, all this audio bleed. So I thought, that's so true, actually. Like, you shame people, you intimidate them, you laugh at them, and that people are like so desperate for belonging, right? There's like nothing worse than being laughed at. And so I'm sitting here going, well, that was pretty stupid what I just did. That was, you could argue that was pretty embarrassing. And if I was inclined to give in to that sensation of, oh, I've been laughed at, therefore I should get smaller, I should shrink, then I would be like, I'm not going to do my live. I look dumb. I'll come back and maybe do it later, or maybe I'll just quit altogether, right? But I have been drilling myself now. I would say I've been doing it for decades. I've been really intense about it for the last, couple years, to just truly, gloriously not give a crap what anybody thinks. And so, you get back on the horse, right? And so I was thinking about that. I'm like, well, if that's true, then if the easiest way to change people is to laugh at them, then the easiest way to prove to yourself that you are unchangeable, that you are resolute, that you are, stoically resolved in pursuit of your goals is to invite ridicule, to invite the shaming that comes with living an outlier life, and to persist anyways. That's actually how you know. When people are laughing at you and you persist anyway, then you actually know you mean what you say and you're sincere about what you're doing and you're living out loud, right? You're living large. I invite everyone, and I'm doing this myself, to really look at your life. Am I crippled? Am I constrained? Am I intimidated? Am I limited in any way by a concern about what people think? And I say this from experience. I remember as a kid being like literally literally crippled, like handicapped with fear about what people thought. So much so that I was scared to go to lunch because there was this long, every day you go to the cafeteria for lunch, you get your food. And there was this long walk from the checkout of the lunch line to the seats. And that walk terrified me because I had this like sensation in my body where I can like relive it, where I didn't know what to do with my hands. I felt like I was so awkward just like teenage, adolescent insecurity, just total, emotional train wrecks we all were at that age. I was so insecure about what to do with my hands while I walked that I didn't even want to walk where people could see. So I'd get my food and I'd leave the cafeteria, go eat somewhere else. Hey, Diane, what's up? Appreciate you jumping out. John, Mandy, Gilbert. I think my feed is frozen. I'm not seeing everybody that's hopping on. Pedro, Rajput, Joanna. Appreciate everybody being here. So I'm sure you can relate. I know everybody can relate. This is like some unique thing to my experience. We are like almost pathologically terrified of other people's judgment and other people's opinions. And yet we live in a world now where the mechanism that brought us to this point, assuming you buy into the whole concept of evolution, and frankly, whether you do or not, it doesn't matter. The point is, we're wired for survival, right? So for a long time, social belonging, social conformity was an essential part of survival because it was about tribalism, it was about integration, it was about, oh my gosh, John, I know, right? And that was how we survived. But the thing is, we live in a world now where, like, honestly, being liked is generally overrated. Being accepted, generally overrated. Frankly, belonging is a cruise control life to mundane, average existence. And I'm not saying you be intentionally, divisive or offensive. But I will tell you from experience of having lived a life where I was crippled by fear about what other people thought and lived a life where I am liberated from it's honestly just, it's indifference. It's not like I need to be disliked. It's just pretty legitimate indifference. And it's been cultivated through a lot of intentional effort. It's not just like a thing I woke up one day on. It was a thing that it's kind of like the alcoholic who says, I'm going to start running triathlons because the focus and the regimen and the training will help keep me sober, right? For me, that's what it was. I wasn't an alcoholic. I was, I don't know if it was an addiction, but I was sort of gripped biochemically. It's a neurological thing. I was gripped with this fear and this insecurity. And so I put myself on a regimen of willful rejection of that existence. And, over years and years, some of it was a decision, back when I was a musician, some of it was I forced myself to try to be an actor. I forced myself to literally get out and sing and dance and do like things that felt uncomfortable. I would like, even as a young person, my friend would like dare me to go talk to girls and I would like make myself do it, even though my teeth were chattering, because I recognized, because I was so racked with fear, I recognized how toxic fear was. And I thank goodness, managed to resist it. Hey, Chelsea, what's up? And so, I've kind of been on this course. And about 2 years ago, I decided to go all in. I decided to just go for it. I'm going to make a life. I'm going to choose. I'm at a fork in the road. And we're all at a fork in the road. I believe all the time we're at a fork in the road. And the fork is towards being liked, accepted, belonging, or towards being exceptional, being our own expression of personal greatness, our personal greatness. Hang on, I got to message my assistant and tell her that I cannot hop on a three-way call right now. Bear with me. How do I pull this up? Why isn't it pulling up? Okay, I'll message her here in a second. Hey, good. Appreciate it. Yeah, I had an audio streaming issue. I'm still working out some bugs. Hang on a live. I'll call you after. So anyways, I said 2 years ago, I'm going to 100% commit myself to a life of excellence. and to a life of not belonging. And even though it's not about intentionally being disruptive or offensive, you have to recognize, I think everybody has to recognize that one metric of the extent to which you are living out your fullest capability will be the extent to which other people feel uncomfortable or withdraw or somehow you feel it. You feel this separation from like average, from the average person. You just feel this separation. It's not like, it's different from being contrarian or being a radical with an agenda. It's just what happens. When you say, I am going to commit myself wholly to the cause and the purpose of living my highest and most excellent existence, you alienate people. You do. And when people feel uncomfortable, when people see themselves in the mirror of your life because of your commitment, it's the same as racism. It's the same as misogyny. It's the same as homophobia. It's the same as any irrational form of human judgment. Sorry, I got something in my teeth. When people see in you a reflection of something that makes them scared or uncomfortable about themselves, they will attack, they will ridicule, or they'll just withdraw. They'll withdraw with a sort of a superior, haughty way about them, right? And we all know it. But man, I'm telling you, like lean in, double down, dig deeper into the excellence. And it's so hard. To me, the most tenuous balance in my life is recognizing that the further I go, the more foreign I feel, the more unlike the people around me I feel, but never to let that feeling convert into judgment or scorn or anger. As soon as I become angry because people don't fucking get it, as soon as I become angry, it's actually because I'm scared. Because I'm scared, because I'm fully self-aware of the risk of the isolation that comes from striving for greatness. Think about that. Think about some of the people we really look up to and understand the levels of fear. And I don't see myself as there yet. I don't think anybody who is there ever sees themselves as there yet. That's the irony of the whole thing. It's a decision to go on a journey to which you will never actually arrive. That is itself the decision to go after greatness. It's the idea of needing an arrival point is actually part of settling, right? So as soon as you make this other decision, and to be crystal clear, I made it 2 years ago. Anybody that knows me, man, Jeff, I don't know what happened to Jeff 2 years ago, but he's gone off the rails. When you make that decision, you set yourself up to live in a constant tension of fear, anxiety, but also the confidence and the fulfillment that comes from knowing that you're pursuing your own version of greatness. I believe, and I have not tried really extreme sports, but people that like fly in squirrel suits, people that I have gone skydiving, so I mean that feeling of jumping out of a perfectly good airplane, like those types of sensations that we know have an addictive quality. I don't think you have to participate in extreme sports to have that feeling. You can actually wake up and live that feeling every single day. Lauren, what's up? Jacqueline, what's up? My beautiful wife. I appreciate you bailing me out of that situation earlier with the heads up that I was live and I didn't realize it. I'm glad I didn't pick my nose or itch my butt or anything. But Michael, what's up, my friend? Michael, I know you get this. You make that decision to go this way while the rest of the world's kind of over there going that way, and you decide, you sign up to live in this emotionally precarious balance of fear and joy. It's extreme fear and extreme joy all the time. And honestly, it's scary. It is. It's scary. But here's what I can tell you. There's a quote that's attributed to Mahatma Gandhi. It wasn't actually said by Gandhi, but it's attributed to him, so we'll give him the credit. He should get credit for a lot of other things, so we'll give him credit for this. He said, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. And I think in the context of everyone's life, you can look at that sequence of events, being ignored, being ridiculed, being fought, and then coming out on top. And you can understand it as a non-negotiable path toward your own personal excellence. Because when you first make that decision to say, I am going all in on my own personal greatness, you first make that decision, nobody knows. Never mind nobody cares. Nobody even knows because it happens in an instant. It's just a decision. I remember it for me. I came home from the gym and I was talking to my wife and she was telling me this story about how she'd been talking to somebody else and they made a comment about her and me were like so extreme with our gym thing because we get up every morning, go to the gym really early. And something about the conversation, just the laissez-faire, casual dismissal of us and our philosophy and our focus of our life and, just commitment to things. We always kind of had this push to be excellent in certain ways. And the way somebody was so dismissive about it because it's whatever, it makes them uncomfortable. I just snapped. And it wasn't like I was angry about somebody else having an opinion about me. That I recognized the power in actually divorcing myself from concern about other people's opinions. But it was what I recognized is they were speaking for the world. And something about that moment made me realize in a very deep way, I want nothing to do with the common mindset of the world. I want nothing to do with groupthink. And I looked back on my politics, I looked back on my spirituality, I looked back on my socialization, and I realized that all of the great things are achieved as an extension of human individual greatness. And that most of the terrible things in this world happen as a function of social grouping. There's some element of people coming together, banding together in their ignorance, their prejudice. And I've seen it again and again and again. In fact, so then this morning I'm learning about not for the first time, but there's these experiments called the Milgram experiments. Stanley Milgram, look it up. You want to realize how truly effed up human beings are? Go read the Milgram experiments. It's the experiments back in the 60s where they got just common, ordinary people in Connecticut. They invited them into Yale to do a study, and they got them to shock each other. They thought it was a masquerade. It wasn't really happening, but they thought they were shocking each other because the experiment called for it, and they were testing negative reinforcement and learning. Say, if he gets the question wrong, you zap him, right? And the voltage was increasing with every zap. That's what the person thought, and what they found is that 90% of people will go along with shocking another person in another room that they're getting auditory feedback that says this person is either passed out or dead. And going into the room, they were told this person had a heart condition, but they were told, oh, don't worry, this isn't enough voltage to affect the heart condition. But then, meanwhile, as they increase the voltage of the shocks, the people in the other room and it's all recording. Again, it's not really happening, but the protest is increasing until eventually it stops. And literally a reasonable person would conclude that the person in the other room either passed out or died. And as if there was somebody else in the room, a plant, also part of the experiment, who was appearing to go along with the experiment, then the participant in the experiment who didn't know what was going on would also go along with administering electric shocks to the point where the other person they perceive to be dead 90% of the time. You want to know why? I probably shouldn't go there, but why this shit happened in Minneapolis? Because there were 4 of them. And one of them looked at the other 3 and they all seemed to be going along with it. The Milgram experiment, Stanley Milgram, I believe it's Millgram. 90% of people will go along with shocking another person to their death in a Yale University sponsored experiment around negative reinforcement and learning if there's someone else in the room who appears to be going along with it too. Because, and the only thing the scientists ever said to get them to go this far was the experiment requires that you continue to administer the shocks. Hear that. Think on that. And you allow yourself to be influenced by other people? When I feel like if you fully understand the extent of what I just described, you will reject wholesale the idea of being influenced by other people. Unless they're better than you. Honestly, because here's the deal. When they flipped it and the other person in the room appeared not to be going along with the experiment, 90% turned into 10%. Nazis turned into saints. When one other person in the room appeared to not be going along with the experiment. That is what happens when we give our power to other people. When we give our power to other people's opinions or to modeling or being impacted by how other people appear to be acting or what other people appear to believe, we completely give up 90% of our own control over our own behavior. You wonder how this happens in Minneapolis? You wonder how the Nazis happened? You wonder how the Red Revolution and the slaughter of Russians and Chinese and Cambodians and all you wonder how drug cartels happen? It's what happens when people acquiesce to what they think other people are okay with. And it's a pretty black and white thing. You're either giving up your power or you're taking it back. And when you take it back, you have to reject. You can't be on both sides. When you take it back, you have to reject the influence of other people. And what's going to happen then? What's going to come along with that? First of all, it's going to be a very unpopular way of being. It's a very unconventional way of being because what would it be? It's like an ironic thing that in accepting or in rejecting the influence of other people, you also give up on the idea of being able to influence them to reject themselves the influence of other people, which means as soon as you do it, you step onto this lonely little island, the island of I truly don't care what other people think, and you will spend the rest of your life looking at the mainland where all the people do and feeling like you're being left out of something. That was some good comic relief on Facebook. I got this comment that says, "My name is Bella. I am an 8-month-old kitten that has neurological problems and I can't walk." I realize now it's somebody trying to raise money for their cat, but it's like the cat was commenting on my live. So anyways, you get this idea, but this is what I want to suggest, and I'll leave you with this, because at this point, like 2 years ago, I started going live. I started talking about this stuff. People, who is this guy? Why is he in my feed? Let me write a hateful comment. Let me tell him he looks like he has Down syndrome. Let me tell him he looks like a glitch in a video game. Let me tell him that I think he paid his wife to hang out with him because she's too pretty and there's no way she'd really want to be with him. Let me tell him what a douchebag he is. Let me tell him what a loser he is. Let me tell him to get the F off my feed. Like, I got it all. I got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these comments. Just enough to be reinforced about why the true way to live is to genuinely not care what other people think. Almost 2 years later, so about a year into that, by the way, I put together a course, I put together a training essentially on, hey, here's how you can the packaging of the course is like, here's how you can build a business online, which is what I've done, because frankly, one of the best ways to not care what other people think is to be able to support yourself without having to go to a workplace where you're constantly exposed to what other people think. Here's how to do that. People get into the training. You go to my Facebook page and see the reviews. Like, I didn't make this stuff up. You go into the training, and the training's somewhat about how to build the business, but it's very much about my observations and conclusions about how to live your life. Maria, I understand. I wasn't giving you a hard time. I just thought it was funny with the cat. But anyway, 42,000 students later, 42,000 people have bought that course. We had 150 new students yesterday and 140 new students the day before. All those people who laughed, all those people who threw hate, how's your business going? And I'll tell you, if at any point in the last 2 years I give an inch to worrying what other people think, none of that happens. If at any point in the last 10 years I gave an inch to worrying what other people thought when I decided to quit everything I was doing in New York City, pack up a U-Haul and move across the country to try to make it work with Jacqueline, I wouldn't be married. I wouldn't have my 4 kids. All of the greatness I can say for my life, this is just my own personal observation, has come from a genuine rejection of all the bullshit that other people think is important. Being liked, overrated. Being reasonable, overrated. Belonging in the group, highly overrated. Having fun, I don't even get that. You know what's more fun than fun? Results. Try having some results while everybody else is having fun. College degrees, following the news, it's all overrated. Do your own thing. Find your greatness. I gotta go. I got work to do. Peace.